So that's the thing. It doesn't matter how many teachers tell you that you are what you're looking for and you don't have to get somewhere. The head is in the business of attaining and getting, becoming, yeah? So the idea is, like, this is seen a lot. People do all these retreats. Now, retreats are super expensive for people a lot of time, if not in money, in time itself, yeah? Let's say days or whatever, days and days of retreat. And there's nothing wrong with retreats. Retreats are neat. But the thing is, if there's still the idea that you're the one who is going on the retreat. So if during the retreat the idea of me is not seen through, then there's going to be more retreats, because the head is never going to get out of its dualistic stance. So it's going to say, I need to do more and more retreats all the time in order to get subtle enough and calm enough to kill the head or shut the head off or this or that, yeah? And it might get a reprise on a retreat, which is nice, but that head is going to come back online. And if the idea of you is not seen through, then when it comes back online and says, oh, I'm suffering again, there's just more retreats. More and more retreats. And it doesn't matter where the retreat is, or who it's with for that matter. If it's not looked at, the idea of you is not seen through as always wanting to attain freedom and it's not going to get there, then it will just be you'll be in the business of more, yeah? Like, I've met a bunch of people, and it's like retreats, there's nothing wrong with psychedelics. But if you're doing psychedelics for 20 or 30 years, I feel like there has to be a questioning at some point, yeah? Like, when is the psychedelics going to work or end for whatever someone's trying to do? And I understand why people do psychedelics. It's the same thing to do retreats. We're trying to get out of discomfort, yeah? But we're still trying to get out of discomfort as the me. So whether it's retreats or psychedelics or whatever, it's still, the bondage of self is still in the center. If you're living under the view of being the doer of that retreat, or the goer-tour of that retreat, or the doer of the psychedelics, then you're still going to be bound when the retreat's done or the psychedelics wear off. And then because the head is in the business of more, it's just going to be next retreat or more psychedelic. So I feel like it's actually quite harmful if the role of me is not highlighted. Yeah? Meaning that role as a non-existent thing is taking itself to be an existent thing and is trying to get out of itself, i.e. you trying to get out of you. And the sense of individuality cannot get out of the sense of individuality. It's like I was talking to someone and they were telling me that when they're on psychedelics, everything is wide open, let's say, like the security of the senses is turned off. So they were saying that they were doing this psychedelic thing at one point, and somebody knocked a glass of water over, and somebody freaked out about the glass of water. And he was saying, well, yeah, because all the senses are down, yeah? So you feel really unguarded. And to me, this is beautiful. That is like a beautiful thing, because the senses, the guarding of the senses are down, and you feel unguarded. So even though there's the being on the psychedelics, there's still the sense of you in the middle of the thing, yeah? The sense of you in the middle of the body, let's say, all the senses and the body around that sense of you. Now, you do this, he does, from what we were saying, or what he was saying, do the psychedelics, and the border of the skin and stuff feels very vague. These senses are wide open, but there's still the sense of you, yeah? So then the water gets spilt, or the glass drops or something, and the person freaks out. To me, that is such a beautiful thing, because it's showing us something, yeah? That there's still a thing there which thinks it's doing the psychedelics. That's amazing to me. So if the thing, which would be called the sense of me, is not seen to be a non-existent thing, then when the water spills, the person's going to freak out even though they're on psychedelics. So even though they have more space from the body and the mind, they're there as the one having space from it. Huh? So really there is no space because they're still tied to it. So whether the protection of the senses is really high or the protection of the senses are really low, it's still their senses. It's still my, me senses. The me can't get out of the me. So it doesn't matter how much psychedelics the body does, it's not going to get out of the body identification. Doesn't matter how many retreats the body goes to, the body is not getting out of the body identification. So these things to me, they're beautiful, yeah? And I understand doing psychedelics and drugs and drinking. I mean, I tried really hard with alcohol to get out of the body, essentially, or just to get a reprise from what was going on. Now that didn't work, and I drank a ton of alcohol. A ton and tons and tons of alcohol, and I still couldn't get out of it, yeah? So the same thing happens with all these other devices, whether it's retreats or whatever, yeah? It's the same thing. If the me is not seen as a non-existent thing, it is presupposed to be real as me. Yeah? That me is going to continue to try to get out of the bondage of duality, which it cannot do. It will continue to do that. So there might be breaks from it, let's say, or glimpses. But if those glimpses are claimed by the head to be my glimpses, then the my is still trying to get more glimpses, but the puck is never going to drop, as they might say, yeah? Or to be all retch and no vomit, because it's just the sense of being the one who's doing is not being seen. And that thing has a huge influence because everything comes after that. Everything comes after that. It's like there's a Shunryu, I think his name, how to pronounce his name, Suzuki, yeah? You exist as an idea in your mind. You exist as an idea in your mind. So if the idea of you is not seen to be an idea and seen to be a reality as a body, it's going to continue to try to get out of its body identification, but it is identified with the body and it can't get out of it, yeah? You are not the body and the mind, that's the thing. So the one who's trying to get free, me, I'm not that me. So when the head goes, I'm in bondage, so I'm going to do all of these things, yeah? You see that when that arises, it arises to no thing. It arises to a sense of me, but that's not a thing, that sense of me, yeah? I noticed this at one point when I was going on these retreats. Well, I didn't notice it in the first few. I was still dazzled by the retreat. Yeah. It was like beautiful places and shit. But the thing is after a few of them, I was on one of them and the head was going off. And it was illuminating something. Because I was always interested in things as a way to get free, like liberated, yeah? Out of suffering. And I thought retreats would do that. I thought that's what would happen. That was the point of doing the retreat. But when the head came back online with all of its same stuff, it was highlighting something very important in a way. Now my initial move was more retreats and more whatever, yeah? But thankfully, this message crossed my face and it cleared up a lot of stuff. The one who's going on retreats, you are not. You are what you're looking for. What you're trying to get out of, you're not in. And what's trying to get out of the sense of individuality cannot get out of it, but you were never in it. So if we don't talk about that, everything else comes after the sense of me. I'm going on retreats, I'm doing psychedelics, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing. It all starts with I, yeah? I. But that I is an idea. That's what Suzuki is saying. You exist only as an idea. There's no reality to that idea. So what is trying to get out of the sense of I is me, I. And I cannot get out of the sense of I. It's in bondage to its dualistic existence. And it's going to keep going. Because it's a conditioned thing. So it makes sense in a way when Ramana's like, you only look at one thing, which is the I, or the question, who am I? Because everything would come after that. The sense of bondage can only exist to a you. If there's no you, then the sense of bondage or the sense of liberation can't even arise or appear. Those ideas don't have existence, but they appear only because of the sense of you and me and I. Yeah? Without the I, and there is no I, which is great news, because it lifts a ton of weight, yeah? It lifts a ton of weight. Otherwise, I'm going on retreats forever, trying to get out of the I, and the I cannot get out of the I, because it's an arising, yeah? It's not a thing that can move out of itself because it's not a thing. There's no thing there. It's an idea. Oh man, this is so beautiful. That's so great to me. It's just like the thing my buddy was saying. Does the psychedelics and all the borders of the system are turned down? So the senses are wide open, yeah? Somebody spills a glass of water. Now the sound from that is why the person goes nuts, yeah? The sound of the water falling over or whatever, the senses are wide open, but in the middle of the sense, or let's say in between these two ears, is a real defined sense of me. So the sound can't really just go right through the senses, meaning because the sound would go right through empty space, essentially, just like the thought I goes through empty space. But obviously the person's taking themselves to be a body even when they're on psychedelics. So the sound is not going through empty space, it's knocking into something, which is the sense of me. And then that sense of me is freaking out because the senses are open, but there's still a sense that it's their senses, yeah? So it's highlighting something really ironically amazing. Doing psychedelics in order to get out of the sense of individuality, yet it's probably tying them more to the doership of being the one who's doing the psychedelics. It's like, that's so great in a way, because it highlights the whole message, I feel. And retreats and psychedelics and stuff are great, but it's like, if you're looking to be free, like, I was always looking to just end this suffering somehow, man. The head's constant ranting, yeah? And it wasn't working through the divisive retreats. I never got into the psychedelic thing, but I drank a lot. And I couldn't get out of it as a solution, meaning like, I would get out of it a little bit when I blacked out, but the consequences of blacking out were like getting crazy, yeah? And even with spiritual practice on the retreats and whatever, the reading is another one. It's like, who's gaining all that knowledge? I am, but you're not the I, because the I is just an idea. And wow, that's something special. Anyways, it's important to talk about because it gets highlighted by these things, except we don't see it if we're looking from the sense of individuality. Yeah. Something points out, like the message of not to, that you are not the I which is looking to get out of itself. And that would put you in the position of already out, which is a beautiful place. Or a beautiful not place to be in, let's say, yeah? A beautiful space to sit back into. To not be in something that you need to get out of, or try to get out of something that you feel like you're in.